But I think that that might be kind of a good jumping point, just to ask how you kind of got into this remixing industry, if you will. Like, was that your plan originally when you were going into YouTube? Were you doing remixes before YouTube, or how did this all kind of evolve?
Yes, good question. So the answer's pretty straightforward, actually. I remember I was at university, and I was in my dorm room, and coming out of school was a bit kind of like, whatever. But I kind of just wanted to do something. I wanted to do something other than like, the university work and then, go and get a job. Like, I wanted to have some sort of like creative outlet that could be maybe a job one day, or just like, money on the side, or just like something I do for fun. So I remember quite like I am actually right now. I was sitting at my desk with my laptop, and I was like, well, I like music and I like video games. So if I combine the two, what can I do with it? And the thing is, it's like I did grow up with retro games, but listening to like the music or like appreciating it was like never something I really actually like did until I started this. It was more so like when I thought about what I wanted to do, it was like, okay, I could cover video game music like by playing an instrument.
Sure.
I played trumpet, and it was like, well, a lot of people do that already, don't they? And like, I don't really have the space or the recording equipment to do that. I could write my own music, and it's like, okay, but the people discovering that it's going to be difficult, because like, it's original work. People aren't really usually looking for original work unless they're actually looking for a composer,
Right.
So I don't actually know like how I finally landed on kind of like, because like I didn't do like Super Nintendo music till way later, so I don't actually remember how I specifically landed on 8-bit. But I was like, I think I remember searching on the website on YouTube, and I was like, not many people are actually doing this.
Right.
As far as I'm aware, I've never known how to pronounce his name, so I'm just going to say it as it is. It's Dan Ookt 1. It's like Dan and then 00CT1. That was the only person I found at the time, and that was 2010. And
who was doing 8-bit specifically remixes, or
yeah. But the way he was, or they, I should say, is producing it was they were just screen capturing the 8-bit software and just like uploading that, which is fine, and a lot of people still do that to this day. But I kind of saw it and I was like, okay, this could be interesting. But there's no like unique visual aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like, and so I remember my first uploads were like, 8-bit music. It wasn't actually 8-bit at the time. I didn't know, but you live and learn. And I just did like really like crude like picture edits, and like it was kind of funny. And I shared it with like my immediate friends, and they liked it. And yeah, it kind of went from there.
Sure.
I don't think I ever kind of thought in the early stages like, I don't want to do this, or like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Right.
I know, I kind of just started it and I never stopped, really.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's so interesting, is that you recreate all these images, and now you also do like animations as well of like these games. And I'm curious, do you kind of consider yourself a pixel artist, or is that more of a side thing that kind of happened because of this music stuff, or were you always interested in that? Like, where did that kind of enter the field?
So I wouldn't say pixel artist, because I don't draw any of the pixel art myself.
Right.
I usually get them commissioned by like professionals, or I've done ones like back in the day, but like they weren't very good. And I actually funny you should ask that, because a few days ago I did actually start trying to do a bit of pixel art. I'm really bad at it. I'm really, really bad at it. But like, everyone starts somewhere, so maybe I'll try again like at some point. So that's the thing, right? Is like, I'm sure when I first started, because when I first started, I didn't do pixel art at all. It was just like, well, I did like covers of like real music. I did like a Bruno Mars song or something. Obviously, I'm not going to find pixel art Bruno Mars, am I? So I literally just took a picture of him, and stuck his head and stuck it on Mario's body and called it a day. And I'm sure me back then wouldn't have thought like, oh, several years from now I'm going to be editing sprites,
right,
animating sprites, and kind of like doing what I am right now.
Sure.
It's always been like an endeavor of just like pushing myself to see what I can do more.
Right.
Like, because a lot of it is unnecessary, I would say, because people come for the music.
Sure.
But for me, it's more just like I'd like to just see how far I can go with it.
Yeah.
And the next step for that will be, I guess, kind of doing my own pixel art.
Right.
That's like a huge step, though. That's
sure,
a huge step.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it adds a lot of interest to your music that you can't find in a lot of other videos, because so many other video game remixes or rips will usually just have a splash or a screen burn or something. And I kind of like how not only do you have something visual going on, but to have it animated too, and give reason to watch, even if it's just for like a few seconds until the gag is up, right? Because usually you have something going on at the beginning, and then it kind of stables out later, right, and becomes a little bit more solid. I always kind of enjoy that. It feels almost like the equivalent of a musician's intro, like how a lot of YouTube channels will have like an intro to their video. Your intro is kind of that really quick animated segment before it gets on to the heart of the music, right? And I always thought it added just a nice little touch to your style. Hey there. You just watched a clip from my creative podcast. If you'd like to check out the full episode as well as other episodes as soon as they come out, you can support me over on Patreon for the $3 tier, or you can just subscribe here and wait for clips and podcast episodes to come out eventually.